All right, better late than never. Welcome in, everybody. Pillow Talk edition of Pugs and Company here each and every night, 10 o'clock to about midnight, although not tonight, and I'll explain why. We also do it again. We do the high noon edition where we talk about all the trending topics, everything that people are discussing. Although, yet once again today, everything interesting happened after we signed off at 2 o'clock, but that's okay. We'll get the mornings covered, and we'll come back, and that's what this is for, to discuss anything big that should happen or should not happen. Although, why the hell would we discuss something that wouldn't happen? All right, you're going to notice a couple things about me tonight. I'm a little bit loopy. The reason that we started so late was because three reasons. One, I started reading a story that featured pictures of Elvira's girlfriend of 19 years. Totally forgot I was doing a show. Looked up, it was 10:14. In fact, I wouldn't have even looked up at the clock to see what time. 10:04. See, I'm a little bit scattered. I looked up at the clock, and it was 10:04, and I'm like, oh shit, I totally forgot. I'm just so engrossed in Elvira's love life, a woman I haven't thought about in 20 years. Suddenly, I'm missing my own show. This ain't even plugged in yet. And the only reason I even looked at the clock was because it was Sunglasses over here. Sunglasses decided to let me know that the link that I'd provided him wasn't working. There he is. Here he is. Gets in here. He tells me that the link that I'm providing him isn't working. And then I'm like, oh, wait. Okay. So I'm late for the show. He got a bum link. Why did he get a bum link? And then I realized because I didn't even schedule an event. I was still looking at the page, the screen. You don't need to know the dirty technical details. But the setup was still left from this afternoon because I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I'll explain later. And I didn't create the Pillow Talk edition show, which is what I'm supposed to do. So I was sending him links, like 3 of them in a row. Send him a link. It's not working. Send him another link. Still not working. And then I look and I'm like, oh, that's because I'm not even paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm sending him links for a show that ended 8-9 hours ago, or whatever it is, 8 hours ago. All right, Sunglasses, how are you? Oh, you don't have sunglasses on tonight.
I do.
Oh, those aren't sunglasses. Those are like those. Remember back in the 80s when they had sunglasses that were, when you're inside, they're normal glasses, but you just look like a douchebag. But then when they go outside, they get a little bit darker. Is that what they are?
Polaroids.
What are they?
Polaroid. When they would go outside, they get dark.
Is that what they were? Was it a Polaroid thing?
Well, I don't. That's what I recall them being. But
we can see
yeah,
your
so
eyes.
that makes sense as to why every time I clicked on it said the event ended, the event ended, the event ended, and then finally this time I got through. And then you said you're loopy. Is that because you got a loop T-shirt on?
Oh, very funny. That's for you, Sunglasses. No, that's a good observation. That is weird. I didn't. I'm wearing this T-shirt because I had a long day. I had a rough day. I had a weird day. I had a crazy all over the world day, and I took a different. I had to pick up another prescription for my allergies because all of a sudden it went from 100 degrees every single day to 50 degrees. What is going? It's literally chilly outside. If you were to sit outside on your deck in this beautiful 1%er neighborhood here in Dallas, Texas, if you were to sit on your back deck and you wouldn't have your servants bringing you chilled lemonade or sweet tea. You might be drinking some hot cider, maybe a cup of cocoa. So what happens with my allergies, the allergies that took me down earlier in the week because it was still 100 degrees and none of the pollen was dying off, and my body just went, no. So I have one allergy medication that I take for those kinds of situations. But today I had to get the other one, the one where I am in absolute hell for 3 days until it stays below 80 degrees. So if you're following along, when it's really hot for a really long period of time and I have nothing but air conditioner going, my allergies go crazy because the air conditioning wreaks havoc on my allergies. But then, and it becomes like there's concrete in my head. So it's just like, it's awful. But then if I lived in a climate that had 4 seasons, there would be 1 week where it would get really bad, but everything would come out. because the concrete would melt when the season changes and the pollen dies off and everything would come out. And then I'm fine. Then I'm fine through the winter. I'm fine through February. I'm fine through March. I'm fine through April. But then in May, when it starts to get spring again, then the whole process begins. So I had to go. I got my kid coming this weekend, which is something that I'm very excited about. It always puts me in a very good mood. But I had to take this, what we call the end stages allergy medication, which is a little bit of a different concoction than the one that I take when my head is like cement. This one helps. This one makes me loopy. It makes me a little bit loopy. And I didn't take it until like 8:00 tonight, because here was my metric on this. If I take it too close to the show, then I'll never fall asleep. I'll never fall asleep. So I got to take it a little bit, like 4 hours before I want to try and go to sleep, because it gives me a little bit of boost at first. But it's like I took it too early, and I don't know. All I'm saying is that I wish God had bestowed 4 seasons on Texas, because then I would know what I'm dealing with. But as far as I know, it's going to be 100 degrees again tomorrow, and this whole damn process is going to start all over for me. No, I got my voice. That's good. But I've got a constant cough, and I'm constantly, here's what you're going to hear from me. You're going to hear this, and you're going to hear that. And that is unbearable. So that's what's going on with me. So I'm a little bit loopy. And to counterbalance the loopiness at 8:00 that I took because of the allergy medication, then just before signing on here at 9:45, I took 2 Tylenol PMs, because they typically take about an hour or so to kick in for me. And I didn't really want to be up and jittery all night. I have had the worst. This has been the worst 7-day stretch of my allergy. 2 weeks ago, they were really bad. Then they were good for a week. And then this week, they've just been awful. And it's got to be because of this crazy change in weather that is just, turning on a dime. So yeah, I'm scared. You also may have noticed that in the last 4 shows, I haven't been having my nightly cocktail, because I can't take these damn drugs, these pills for my allergies, and then drink 3 shots of Jameson and then not expect to have weird dreams like the one I told you where I was pooping and I couldn't stop wiping. I was just wiping and wiping and wiping. And sure, weird dreams are fun, but my God, there is something going on with my body chemistry, and I just try and, okay, so there you go. That's where I'm at. And that's why your link didn't work. Long story short.
So are you going to have flop sweats?
No, who knows? Everything's on the table. Everything is on the table. I could have anything. I could have the shits. I could have the flop sweats. I could, whatever. I don't know. This is a new allergy medication that I picked up today. I went shopping because my kid's coming. So I figured, okay.
So this is an over-the-counter allergy medication?
No, this is a legit allergy medication. This is a prescriptive. Do you see? I can't even talk. I'm going to sound like a goddamn elementary school dropout. Kid who started smoking at 12 and working in the mines at 13. That's what I'm going to sound like. So yeah, I'm loopy. So bear with me.
I've been here.
No, I know. I know. Also, if anybody has been listening the last couple of days, you may have known a bit of seen an aggressive side of me that is a little bit out of character for the new improved Pugs, who's Mr. Nice and Mr. Trying to get along with everybody. It's because I'm so sick of feeling this way. I am so sick and tired. And you know what? I'm not smoking weed. That used to help. I'm not drinking, because that screws everything up. And here's another big one. I quit chewing tobacco. I haven't bought a can of tobacco in a week. Thanks to these. These are actually a godsend. These little nicotine packs. These are you have not seen me chew probably in a week. Well, 5 days.
Well, I'm glad that you're not chewing. That's like not a good thing to be doing.
Hardest damn thing I've ever tried to do. Quitting weed was a breeze. That was easy. But chewing tobacco was like, what am I going to do now? I usually have something in my lip when I'm watching something I like. So I am trying to improve. Folks, you got to believe me. I'm trying to be a better person for you, for sunglasses, for my kid, for
I could care less about if you're better or worse.
look, I'm rolling.
Okay. Well, I just want you to know I'm your friend regardless. So,
Yes,
you
Ross
know,
Rubio, it sucks being positive, especially when let me tell you about my week. Here is everything. We signed off the show today, and here's what I said. Here's what I thought to myself. All right, I'm gonna clean the house because the kid's coming over this weekend, and anybody who has spent time with a 12-year-old in a closed quarter knows that they're like tornadoes. No matter how messy this house is now, and it's not too messy, but no matter how messy it is now, it will be tenfold messy by the time he leaves Sunday night. And so I need to get out in front of that. I need to get it perfectly clean before he comes so that I will have some standing when I say shit like, I just cleaned that. I need to be able to say that. So I should be happy. The kid's coming. I went out. I got some food. I got a refill. I was able to get a refill. There's another. Do you know how expensive prescription medication is when you do not have prescription coverage anymore?
now you sound like one of those commercials.
Well, it's true. I'm a real life commercial. So I did that. So I did all of my shopping and I got all of that done. I didn't do the cleaning. Oh, and you want to know why I didn't do the cleaning? I ended up just going shopping at like 4:00. You know what? Want to know why? Because I'm so screwed up that I totally forgot that there was a White Sox game this afternoon. And it was the clinching game. So heading into the weekend, I got the White Sox clinched this afternoon. Should make me very happy. Friday, I'm picking up my kid. Certainly will make me very happy. Saturday, I've got Wisconsin at Notre Dame, home game for Notre Dame at Soldier Field. Why do you think it's a home game for Notre Dame at Soldier Field? Okay, that's Saturday. And then on Sunday, I got Justin Fields making his first start for my Chicago Bears. This should be a weekend where I am just humming, except I got this, I got sleepless nights, and there was
Wisconsin's going to beat Notre Dame. Justin Fields
what?
is going to get
Whatever.
beat, and the White Sox, they
What is
clinched.
this? This is not how you help somebody who's spinning. This is not how you are a good friend. When
Well,
telling my
I
kid's
mean,
going
I'm
to fall
just
down the
trying to
steps and
help
break
you
his neck
out.
too. Yeah, well. So I'm in a good mood. White Sox clinch. Texting with my kid. Kid gets out of school at 3:30. He's like, you gotta let me know. I'm like, okay. So let him know. I'm sending him tweets. I sent him videos of Tim Anderson's 2 home runs. I sent him video of Eloy's home run. I sent him video of Luis Roberts' home run. I'm like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And then we did it. Sent him a video of the celebration on the field, which was very subdued, but I get that. I sent him a video of the celebration. And he's like, that's great, Dad. All right, I got to go to football practice. I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, fine. And then just as he said that, boop, I get an alert. 13 shot at a Kroger in Colliersville, Tennessee. And right there, because apparently I'm more of a human being than other people, that wrecked me. I was like, are you kidding me? I couldn't even enjoy the freaking White Sox clinching the American League Central because now I've got pulled up on the computer this live footage of outside some Kroger where somebody like myself, who was just going out to the store, isn't coming home because some idiot got fired from the sushi bar there. And that's the truth. It was some dude who worked there, got fired, and decided that he was going to show them who's who, and he just shot 13 people. One person dead. He then put the gun in his mouth, blew his head off, which is perfectly fine with me. Perfectly fine with me. Let him just, we know what you did. There doesn't need to be a trial. Just end your freaking life. He killed a mom. He killed a mom with a bunch of little kids. And there's 12 other people that are in the hospital with very serious injuries. So this damn death toll is going to go up. Then you want to hear something else that makes it even crazier? I get great news. Hey, finally there are charges filed against Brian Laundrie in the Gabby Petito case, and it's credit card fraud. I mean, come on, man. What is this world we're living in right now? What is going on here?
I saw that he left his house without his driver's license and his cell phone.
What was that? What do you mean?
they've reported that he left his house
When? Like, is this back, like, so do we have a time when he was actually at his house?
since last Tuesday.
So he was seen at the house last
Well,
Tuesday.
according to his parents, he was last seen at their house last Tuesday, and he left the house without a cell phone and his wallet, which caused them to be concerned for him.
Okay, so now let's put that together with the camping trip. Remember the camping
Prior
trip
to Tuesday.
that he went on with Ma Laundry and Pa Laundry. They all, there's no better way to get over the disappearance of your fiance than going out and spending a weekend in the woods. So that was weird, and they did that. And I hear here's another thing that irritates me. I got to deal. It's not only that I got to now deal with Nancy Grace being all over media again after I thought we benched her 10 years ago, but now I got John Walsh back. And John Walsh giving all the. John Walsh had to be corrected twice today on his CNN Anderson Cooper hit because the stuff he was saying was just not confirmed by anybody but John Walsh. And John Walsh is like, well, I know that's just my opinion. Like, yeah, but the idiots who watch you and think that you're actually a good dude, they can't tell the difference. Don't get me started on John Walsh. I've met him numerous times. That guy's a dick. Very sad what happened to his kid. Interesting how he was able to spin that into a multi-million-dollar career. But whatever. We'll move on.
Okay, so that's all I know about the Gabby Petito case.
Yeah, there were actually.
He left without his driver's license and without his cell phone.
Now, is that the other neighbor that's talking? Because there's a new neighbor now that's talking, and we also know that Piggly Shelley's or Shelley McMellies or whatever
the Mary Piglet.
Mary. I could not for the life of me remember that name.
And how the Mary Piglet turns into a Tex-Mex place,
I don't know.
It makes no sense. If anything, it sounds like it could possibly be a barbecue joint.
Yeah, and it sounds like it could be like a Memphis barbecue joint, a barbecue that specializes. Like Memphis barbecue is pig, Texas barbecue is beef. There's not a lot of pig stuff here in Texas. It's all beef.
And then the spelling of Mary, Merry, makes it sound like it's a Christmas pig.
It's a happy pig.
Know.
It's a happy pig that has no idea it's about to be slaughtered and barbecued. At any rate, the manager of that place shows up late to the party and is now finally admitting that, oh, yeah, Gabby and Brian were in here. After like days of them going, we don't know, we're very busy during the summer months. Why were they slow rolling that information? I mean, the manager said he had spoken to the FBI a week ago. And, maybe he was doing the right thing. Like I said, I'm a little out of it tonight. I apologize. It is nice, though, that I'm able to just wear a T-shirt instead of having to dress like I'm standing out in the weather waiting for a movie to start. I usually have to wear like sweatshirts and stuff because of the air conditioning. Did you turn your air conditioning down over in the 50,000 square foot 1%er mansion?
I did not.
You didn't.
Why? Do I need to?
Dude, yeah. It's like 60 degrees outside. Actually, I don't know what it is outside. Let me see.
Yeah, but I mean, that just means that the air conditioner won't come on.
God, it is so obvious that you were not raised by a single working mom. You have no respect for the thermostat, sir. None whatsoever.
But if it's cold out and I had it set at 70 and it drops below 70, that means that the air conditioning is not going to come on.
I don't know how that works. All I know is that
I'm just trying to maintain 70.
I grew up in a world where we worry about the electric bill. That's just where I'm coming from. So,
well, I worry about it, but I don't control it.
Look,
when I say worry about it, I mean I know I'm going to get one.
You worry about forgetting to pay it.
Yes.
Not that you can pay it. You worry about forgetting to pay it.
Well, I'm worried. Yeah, but now that I got it set up on automatic payment, I don't even know.
Yeah, it's 70 degrees right now. 10:30 Highland Park, 70 degrees. Moon is in a beautiful crescent shape, and there seems to be a bit of an advisory going on. What's happening here? Ooh, wasn't it supposed to be like in the 90s tomorrow?
Yeah, I heard it's possible. But
Saturday it's gonna be okay. Great. So whatever is going on with my allergies are just gonna ratchet right back up tomorrow. It's gonna be 92 with a low of 64. Kind of a 30-degree swing is that? That is insane. That is why my allergies are kicking my ass.
so I'm interested in, how does he have an arrest warrant issued for him for credit card fraud?
Yeah, all right, we may as well get right into that since we've been covering the
I mean,
Gab
don't they have better things to be picking him up for?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to blow their wad. Maybe they can't put it all together. Maybe in filing charges and convening a grand jury, you have to then give up some evidence, and they don't want that out because they're still thinking they can find them. There might be a million reasons why. I don't know. I just know none of them got answered from John Walsh today. That guy.
So what's the credit card fraud about?
So the credit card fraud is, well, I mean, and this is probably just the only thing that they believe they have him dead to rights on right now that won't reveal anything about the investigation into finding him. That's what I would think. And it's like, can you get him what you can get him? This is now a reason for him to be a wanted fugitive as opposed to just a person of interest. And, that helps. That helps with a whole bunch of ways. We've talked about it before. Hey, they got Capone for tax evasion. The guy slaughtered people from the time he was 15 years old, all the way up until they got him, and broke every law the United States could make up, and they got him on tax evasion. So, hey, you get what you can. A federal court in Wyoming, and that's the other thing. I was just talking to somebody earlier today, and I kept saying Montana because I refuse to make a distinction between Wyoming and Montana. It's a story for another day. Federal court in Wyoming has issued an arrest warrant for Brian Laundrie in relation to a grand jury indictment for his activities following the death of Gabrielle Petito. The announcement came from the FBI on Thursday. We urge individuals with knowledge of Mr. Laundrie's role in this matter or his current whereabouts to contact the FBI, said Special Agent in Charge Michael Schneider. Petito 22 went missing. Oh, we know all this. They always got to rehash the story just in case it's the. Petito 22 went missing in August after embarking on a cross-country road trip with Laundrie, her fiance. Her remains were found at a campground in Wyoming on Sunday. Laundrie, 23 years old, disappeared after he initially refused to cooperate with police in the search for Petito. Notice my over-enunciation of Petito?
Yes.
Made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to call her Patino anymore. And the only way that I can keep that promise to myself is if I over-enunciate Petito. Laundrie 23 disappeared after he initially refused to cooperate with police in the search for Petito. His family told investigators he had gone hiking in the Carlton Reserve in Florida last week and never returned. That's one of the things, probably the only thing that I agreed with John Walsh on today. John Walsh, America's Most Wanted. Oh, God, I'm just so tired of macho bullshit. And that guy is just the height of gross macho bullshit. I've caught over 1,000 criminals, Anderson. I've been flying on the border in Blackhawks. Dude, just say a helicopter. You don't have to over-masculine it by calling it a Black Hawk, trying to let us all know that you know the military terminology for a whirly bird. But he said it was a deke, just like we've been saying. The Carlton Reserve thing, just a total deke, a fake out, just something. And, so he's not all bad. See, I'm having trouble breathing. My heart's pounding. I mean, nothing's going to happen to me. I'm not going to die or anything. But, I just now got the cold sweats reference from earlier. This is because I got the cold sweats when I felt like I was going to pass out when I took the cheap dollar store.
Those are referred to as the flop sweats.
Yeah, the flop sweats, which you had never heard before, which was interesting because you are a man of the world, a jet setter, if you will. And I just assumed flop sweats was see that I'm doing that too, because that's apparently another new side effect of this medication I'm taking, where I'm constantly itching my arms. The attorney for Laundrie's family, Steve Bertolino, issued a statement Thursday emphasizing the warrant is related to activities occurring after the death of Gabby Petito and not related to her actual demise. So it's not easy. Grand jury hasn't indicted him on murder, manslaughter, or anything like that. They went with what they could get, and what they got was he was using her credit cards when they believed she was dead. I don't know how. this does in some way kind of help with the window of when she was alive. I mean, if you Piggly Wigglies or Mary Piglets, right? The restaurant. Okay, so we know
She's
that was,
alive.
and that was on when, the 27th, right?
27th.
And then the next day, the 28th, is when the van from Florida captured the other van, the Petito laundry van, right?
No, I think it captured it 4 hours later.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. It was. It was just 4 hours. So it was on the same day, the 27th. And it was the last. The sketchy text came on what? The 30th?
The same day, the
Same day. Oh
27th.
man, this timeline has got me all over. At any rate, it is beginning to appear, if we use the sketchy text as the first bit of
Not her, him.
circumstantial proof that there's something wrong, and seeing her at the Mary Piglet on the 27th, we can close that window as to when the time of death was.
Yeah,
So,
it was pretty soon after the Mary Piglet.
and that must be what the FBI is using to determine when she died, because they must have a pretty good idea when she died if they were able to attach the use of her credit cards post-mortem. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
she's dead, how was she using her credit cards? So the FBI at least has a window there now. It hasn't been shared with us, but all of us internet super sleuths, like that clumsy little thing you and I just did,
All right.
if we can
So
figure out the window.
we're going to go back into he offered the hitchhikers $200 to only use her credit cards to get home, or her credit card to get home. Doesn't sound right. Something
Ye
sounds off there.
Well, it explains, we were wondering where he was getting $200 for 10 miles of road, which is what he offered the hitchhikers who picked him up. He said, "I'll give you $200 for 10 miles of road," and we all thought, these are a couple of kids living out of a van. That's pretty extravagant. So now, I guess he was using Gabby's debit card, and he was just cleaning her out.
Which again makes no sense because she supposedly was up against it a couple weeks before because dad paid for her food while she was at the hotel and he was back in.
Right. She was ostensibly broke when she asked her dad to send money. At least that's what we were led to believe. However, daddy's little girl, maybe she wasn't being fully true, maybe she was just looking for a little extra. But again, if he's got enough money to make it gas and all that, all the way from Wyoming back to North Point, Florida, Northport, that's the one I can't get. Is it North Point or Northport?
Port. I'll go with port
Let's go
only
with Port.
because
Oh,
it's
this is a
Florida
grind.
and there's water and
Mhm.
port, maybe. But okay,
Could be
so
a
he
point.
uses her card on 831 and 91, which basically is him gassing up on the way home.
Right. So, I mean, that's gotta be at least $300 in gas
Her
from Wyoming to
sandal
Florida.
is seen outside the van. Her cell phone is seen outside the van. And her credit card is in his possession on the way home. How he could get into the van without knowing where she is after he was just with her at Mary Piglet. I mean, come on.
Being agitated and,
I mean,
making a fool of himself with the waitstaff and the management. And by the way, it is Port. I just looked it up. Thank you, Jeff Glenn. It is Port. I always wanna say Port first, but then I go Point, and okay,
and I
continue.
guessed right, port.
You did.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I think the circle is tighter and tighter and tighter. Cell phone outside the van, sandal outside the van, credit card in his pocket, at Mary Piglet's agitated, leaves there after he gets in a fight with the wait staff or is essentially tossed out, another report said, and then videoed 4 hours after he was at the restaurant. Van doesn't move for a day, and then the van is gone. And then somewhere in that period, he's trying to hitchhike and give $200 up.
Yes, and wait, we can also fit this in. I forgot. I pulled this up earlier. This is another person. We have another person who has come forward who says that she's seen or witnessed an agitated Brian in the woods. Apparently, the woods are like a big party. A lot of people just hanging out there. Witness says she saw Brian Laundrie alone and quote acting weird near where Gabby Petito's body was found. Jessica Schultz says information she supplied to the FBI helped them locate Gabby's remains. Oh, does she say that? Is she bragging about it? Is she happy? A woman has come forward with claims that she spotted Brian Laundrie without his fiancee, Gabby Petito, last month inside Wyoming's Bridger Teton National Forest and says the 23-year-old man who is currently missing was, quote, acting weird. Jessica Schultz discussed the sighting on TikTok, of course. It used to be 60 Minutes or Sitting Down with Oprah. Now it's just you in your car on TikTok. That's where all the big interviews and developments are coming from.
So
Hey,
now we have a guy acting weird in a national park, which then is consistent to what the married couple said that was shot with bullets and found naked. Guy in the park acting weird near their campsite.
okay, you just confused me again because you reintroduced the lesbians who at this point are like
I'm
500
just
miles
saying,
away.
we've now got a witness account of a guy in a camping
Okay,
park
yes, two people weird.
acting
Yeah.
weird.
I got you. Two different people. Kylan Schultz, who was one of the murdered lesbians in Moab, Utah, told her friends that if anything should happen to them, there's a weird guy around the campsite. And now we have another woman, this girl, Jessica Schultz, who they both named Schultz. Yeah, it was Kylan Schultz and Crystal Turner. Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's weird. The two people who use the term acting weird have the last name Schultz. I'm gonna figure this out.
Was it
Seriously,
Schultz or Schutzy or something? I don't think it was
on.
exactly Schultz.
Kylan. You're right. It's Kylan Schulte. Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner. Kylan Schulte said if something should happen to me and Crystal, it's because there's a weird guy lurking around our campsite. And now we have Jessica Schultz, who like 3 weeks later or whatever, 2 weeks, whatever the numbers are. We have Jessica Schultz saying that the weird, weird's a very general term, but I see what you're saying. I don't want to argue about it. I'm just, oh God. Cottonmouth too. This is like a whole new
So
thing.
he has no cell phone, no credit cards, and he's got Gabby's
He's
credit
acting
card.
weird in the woods. Okay, here we are. Sorry about that. Jessica Schultz discussed the sighting on TikTok and later spoke to the San Francisco Chronicle. Schultz, a 38-year-old graphic designer, was camping with friends and said she noticed a van that seemed out of place on August 26th and August 27th. She also saw a, quote, generic young white man she believes was Laundrie. You know, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, your hackles go up when you see something that's out of the ordinary, Schultz told the paper. In her TikTok video, she says the man she believes was Laundrie was very awkward and confused, and it was just him. There was no Gabby. Add. Gabby was found dead over the weekend in Grand Teton National Park, and officials have since determined her death was a homicide. Okay, so now we've got 26th, 27th. We know that she was alive on the 26th because she was seen at the Mary Piglet on the 27th. So, I mean, he might have just gone for a walkabout. I'm telling you, this dude goes out and he walks around and he hikes. He is a weird guy, but there are lots of weird guys out there. This is kind of gross. She's got a quote here that's pretty self-aggrandizing that I don't really love. It says here, Gabby was reported missing on September 11th, more than 2 weeks after her mother last spoke to her by phone. Laundrie and his parents refused to meet with detectives who were handling the case. Last Wednesday, Laundrie was named a person of interest in the case. Last Friday, he was reported missing. At this point, investigators have yet to say how Gabby was killed, but believe she died sometime between the 27th and the 30th. So that's the window. Okay, so that's basically the window that we just created here. Police believe the relationship between Gabby and Laundrie became more strained during their tragic road trip, you think? According to a newly unsealed search warrant connected to the case. Speaking to the Chronicle, Schultz told the paper and says in her video that she's reached out to the FBI with what she knows. The FBI told people that for privacy reasons they cannot confirm or deny, but they have cannot confirm or deny that they have spoken to Schultz. According to Schultz, okay, so this is the gross part. So this. According to Schultz, an FBI agent said that the information she provided helped officials recover Gabby's remains. It's have a little humility. I mean, this is like I did it. It's like she's trying to take credit for something. It just rubbed me the wrong way.
I hear you.
We're triumphant. We were right, and we led them in the right direction. Schultz told the paper. Triumphant? We're still talking about a dead girl. We're still talking about a beautiful young lady who was killed by an absolute creep. And you're claiming it's triumphant? We're triumphant. We were right, and we led them in the right direction, Schulte told the paper. But then, of course, it's not something you like to be right about. It's been emotionally exhausting for sure. Right. Yeah, but you're still bragging to the newspaper. I thought she was kind of gross. And honestly, you coming forward now after the body has been found and after we already have the video, the dash cam video of the other people, it's like too late. You snooze, you lose. You're not getting any credit. Jessica Schultz. Who do you think you are? So that's basically it. That and the parents were escorted to their attorneys in Orlando this afternoon. And it turned into, for a moment, like an OJ thing. Like every media van just followed, and there was like a caravan, and they followed them all the way to the lawyer's office. And now people are saying, this is interesting. People are saying, as we live in a world where people are saying is something you can just lay money on because, that's all we need. People are saying that the lawyer that they were meeting with in Orlando is none other than Kaylee Anthony lawyer Jose Baez.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know if it's true, but apparently, yes. The building, the complex in downtown Orlando where they were supposedly meeting with their lawyer is also the building that has Jose Baez, one of the bad guy lawyers of recent memory, I would think. A guy who's just making all kinds of money just being a bad guy. Just trying to get Casey Anthony off.
Jeff Glenn in the chat room says, have you guys seen the Van Door closing video? Yep. We saw that a few days ago.
Yeah. We that's pretty creepy because you definitely, and again, we don't know what's real. I haven't seen that video be shown on anything verified. I mean, on the actual video from the dash cam that the people show, you can't pick that out. It's only in an enhanced video that somebody else took where they make it bigger and highlight that area where you can see it. So, I mean, look, it's creepy. It's weird. It's like, ooh, maybe he was there. Maybe she was still alive. But, I don't know if that's real or not. But yeah, Jeff, I've seen it. I've also seen porns where Marilyn Monroe is having sex with Brad Pitt, and it's called deep fakes. And I don't know what's real anymore. I have no idea.
But I kind of think that one is real. I mean, because
Marilyn
at that
Monroe
point
and
in
Brad
time,
Pitt?
at that point in time, remember the person that had the dash cam video said that when they were driving by, they were thinking of stopping, but he appeared to be younger. So they thought, nah, we're not going to do it. We're older. Didn't you read
That's
that?
interesting. I don't remember them saying that they saw him. I don't remember that. I remember them spotting the van. I don't remember those people saying that they saw it. Now, it may be. I have taken in, and you have taken in, and all of us who have been talking about this now for over a week have taken in so much rando information that it's all just.
Well, it was something that they were in a group. I remember the lady said that she was in a group of people that were camping, and they were thinking of inviting him or them to the group because they were from Florida. But then when they saw them, they thought, no, we're not going to invite them because they appeared to be quite a bit younger than the group that she was camping with. That's what I remember that I read, but I haven't seen that story since. But
Yeah.
remember, they referenced that they were from Florida, and they saw that
Yeah.
he was from Florida, and they were thinking of stopping, but then they decided not to because they noticed that he was younger, quite a bit younger than them.
I guess I was thinking that all I really remember is just the video that we saw, and they weren't even talking. It was just silent video of the van, and I think the shock of it being the actual van and going, "Oh my god, that is the van." I mean, I think that was pretty much all I noticed. There may have been. Uh, what is Jeff saying now? They only saw him, not both of them, right?
That's
No,
what
not
I
right.
re-
I
that's
don't
what I
know.
re- no, what I recall is they said that they only saw him,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I
or
I
she
could look it
said
up,
that.
but I could look it up, but what does that matter at this point? I mean, we know he did it. We know that he made it home to Florida. It's all of these now, I suppose the information of the last couple of days that put him at the Mary Piglet, and then you combine that with the dash cam video, that was all useful information because at least it helps us figure out when he did the deed that we all assume and know that he did, right? So that closed the window. So the window is good. 27th through the 30th.
Well, for him to get home by the first,
Right. Yeah. He would have had to have, because remember, we did, or at least I did, the driving map, and it's like a 36-hour drive nonstop.
and
But
that's hard to do alone.
it is hard to do alone. It
I
is.
mean, 36 hours up nonstop and driving. I mean,
Yeah. But you know what? He's a mental case. And I can speak from experience that brain chemistry, when the shit starts firing, you can stay up for days. I'm not kidding. I'm actually being quite serious now. I've talked about my depression and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, I can stay up for 48 hours easy when all that shit is firing and going off. And
but
it sucks.
48 hours of or 36 hours of nonstop driving seems like that's too much focus for that long a period of time.
Yeah, and I bet it was white knuckle the whole way, right? I mean, it was not like he was listening to podcasts and losing himself in an interesting Joe Rogan conversation. I mean, there was some crazy shit going on. I mean, that's a long 36 hours to be alone with yourself. I can tell you that. I mean, he's obviously a psychopath. He's a sociopath first and foremost, but it seems like he's also a psychopath. And I don't have that malady, but I can tell you, he. I mean,
Well, she
I
must have taken the side of the people
in the
at the
restaurant,
Mary Piglet because she came back inside, it said a couple times, and apologized. And he went outside
and he probably
to,
didn't like that,
to cool off.
right?
So
Because he was spinning.
maybe that sent him over the edge. And then it sounds like she had more finances than him.
And that's almost always the case with
Well, but I
young
mean,
girls like that.
She's got the van. Mom had the Mustang that she drove back to her house today. That was the other thing that happened. The FBI released the Mustang, which mom drove back to the house. So he doesn't even own the Mustang that he was driving. That's mom's car. He has a credit card, evidently. He has well, they didn't even say he had a credit card. They said he left his wallet
I don't think
and
he
his
had
cell
anything.
phone.
It sounds like he didn't really have anything. Like, did he have a job? I mean, she talked about her job and how she quit her job to go on this trip. We've heard nothing about what he did.
Well, he was talking about them going and getting a job when he was on the side of the road. Remember, he talked to the police officer about that. He was
But
gonna
again,
go
I feel
apply somewhere, and I think they both said they worked at or I saw a report that said they both worked at, like, a grocery store
uh,
before they left.
I don't know. I don't everything. We now know that he was putting on a performance with the police officer, and I feel ashamed of myself because when we first watched that raw video of the traffic stop where we got to see the way they were behaving and the way, I mean, I remember thinking he doesn't seem capable. He duped me. His sociopathic ass duped me. I thought, oh, he seems like a good guy, and I totally bought into. Well, maybe she is a little bit crazy. He not only gaslit Gabby, he gaslit me. He gaslit the cops. I mean, we all bought it. And now I feel terrible
That's
about
why I
it.
wanna know the way she died, because I can't still
I hope it was quick, you know?
in well, of
I
course,
mean, come on.
but I just I
Hope he
can't
didn't.
still in my mind place that guy on the side of the road in some kind of murderous act. He just I don't know, it just didn't appear that way. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes, and that's Ted Bundy. That's John Wayne Gacy showing up at the children's hospital dressed as the clown, making all the kids laugh and all the moms going, "He is the nicest man in the neighborhood." That's what a sociopath is capable of. And that's exactly what we saw from Brian. That was a well-rehearsed act that he has created and perfected so that he could go through life without letting people know he's capable of killing his girlfriend. And that's what sociopaths do.
Wow.
It's it's frightening. It is really frightening. And that behavior is exactly why every time something happens and they find a bunch of heads in your neighbor's, deep freezer, neighbors always say, "Oh, he seemed like a nice guy." Yeah, yeah, these people who are capable of these absolutely gruesome and horrid crimes against humanity, they're not walking around because those people are locked up. Those people are we're keeping an eye on. It's these scary ass bitches. These I saw a picture today that was trending, and it was from the traffic stop, and it was when the cop first pulled up and first walked up to the window, and it was from the body cam. So it was the cop looking into the car, and you had Brian who was driving, and then you had Gabby who was talking to the cop, and they blew it up and they focused on Brian, and it is creepy as hell. The way he isn't looking at the cop, he is staring at her while she's talking to the cop, almost as if to say, "You better say what you're supposed to say. You better." And then what did she do? She got out of the car and she took blame for everything. I mean, it's and hindsight being what it is, I now look at that and I go, "Oh my God." I go, that guy was in her head. That guy was totally controlling her. I mean, he was literally he was not looking at the cop. She was looking at the cop and she's talking to the cop and the cop's talking to her. And Brian is staring at her with a look in his eyes that is like, I'm surprised he didn't mouth every word she was saying. It seemed like he was making sure she had the rehearse down, you know? Uh,
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's weird. It's
yeah,
really
it
weird.
is weird. It is
And then
weird and
when you
it's
get into
sad
the
and it's
victim's head and you try to go, how could you act like that when you had your chance? But then you see the battered wife syndrome where they're just, for whatever reason, they can't leave, you know? It's got to be something mental going on. It's just sad.
Have you ever known? Of course you have. We have all known women, right? I mean, the idea of men who beat their women being America's dirty little secret is not a thing. It's not a secret. We all know dudes who have done that. I've known at least three separate people. I'm not saying they're my friends, but I'm saying that in my circle of people, I've known at least three people just in the last 15 years or so who have been accused of beating their wife or hitting or slapping or being an absolute monster when the doors close. I, I was raised by a woman. I was raised by a supermom. So that is so foreign to me. And, I have been in relationships with people who were very violent and very abusive. And basically, I believe that I would have been justified in defending myself in some of these, but I didn't. And I'm not grandstanding. I'm not saying, "Oh, I'm better." I'm just saying that is such an obscene way for a man. I told my son that one of the only things that he could do that would make me lose respect for him or truly be angry and disappointed in him is if I ever heard that he raised his hand to a woman. I mean, and again, maybe it was because of how I was raised. Man, I once pulled a knife on a guy my mom was dating because he was getting a little bit too chesty, if you will. A giant butcher knife. And I'll never forget that, standing in the kitchen. I was probably 8, 9 years old with a butcher knife, this grown man who was half in the bag screaming at my mom, and I was going to stab that motherfucker. I mean, that's just,
I
excuse
bet you
my
got his
language.
attention. eight,
Yeah.
8 or 9 year old dude with a butcher knife.
Yeah. No, no. And I think my mom is the one who talked me down. But I mean, that's just such an obscene place to go when you're in a relationship with a woman. Just, just laugh in their face and leave. That's what a dude needs to do. A guy needs to go, I could put your head through the wall, but I'm not gonna. Goodbye.
It's shocking though that he had those scratches on his face. He had those scratches on his arms. He had scratches on his hands, everything that they pointed out in that body cam video.
Mm,
And those were fresh. And she didn't have really a scratch on her that the cops could find. Like for some reason, he had been able to maintain his cool throughout that, where you would think a guy that is that violent,
yeah.
when she acted on him, he would have acted back.
Well,
Now,
if you
the
slap a
video
nine,
said that he was slapping her, not
right,
the video, the 911 call
right,
said
the
that,
eyewitness.
and the operator said back, slapping, kind of like in a way, like, I don't know, it was when you hear that call and the 911 operator says slapping, he almost said it kind of in a way like,
He said slapping and hitting. He used
no,
both.
not the caller that called it in. I'm saying the 911 guy, the
Oh, the
operator, when,
dispatcher.
yeah, the dispatcher, when he said slapping, he almost said it in a way like, "That's it," or
Yeah.
like he didn't almost kind of believe it, and then how it never made it to the police officers. I don't know. It's just,
You
those
here's
guys got to be kicking themselves in
Yeah,
the
because they
ass.
totally screwed it up. Those guys, those cops who, I had a bit of a crush on Beard Cop. I thought he
Did
handled
they
it well.
screw it up though, or
Yeah,
did
they
the
did. They didn't
dispatcher screw
investigate.
it? The dispatcher screwed it up because he didn't tell them that he was slapping her.
Those cops were so friendly. They were speeding. They were doing 45 and a 15, no ticket. They rammed into the side of the road, showing improper lane usage, no ticket. They were dude broing it up with Brian by the car, laughing so much that he felt comfortable enough going, "Oh, she's crazy." I mean, it was just really. I've never had an experience with cops like that before. I've never had cops be that nice and friendly to me, especially in a domestic dispute where there's some sort of questions to be asked. And it just seems and you're right. The dispatcher simply told the story to the cops that an eyewitness said he was hitting her, he was slapping her.
That
That
would have
obviously
changed. That would have changed their
it
whole
should have,
attitude.
would it have? I don't know. We don't even know that the dispatcher didn't tell them that. All we know is how they behaved when they were on scene. And it was, I thought it was good police work at first. I thought, I was like, oh, they seem pretty nice. I mean, this was obviously 2 weeks ago, before a week or so ago, before we had the full lay of the land about what was going on in this case. There are so many twists and turns every day. Look, I know Brian did it. I know Brian's a dirtbag. But over the course of this story, as it's unfolded and as it's developed, I've gone, in every different direction. And here's how I would explain how he had marks and she didn't. And again, just me spitballing here. If he was slapping her, it wouldn't necessarily. I mean, we don't know where he was slapping her. There wouldn't necessarily be any wounds. And chronic abusers of women know how to not leave a mark. They know how to hit them, under their shirt or in their ribs or wherever, where so you'd have to show. But as far as like marks on the face and marks on the hands, so that when you go out to dinner with the neighbors, the wife sees it and gets suspicious. They know how to hide that stuff. That's like spousal abuser 101. And as far as his marks, they could just as easily have been defensive wounds. Gabby defending herself and trying to fend him back. It doesn't necessarily, just because he's got marks, doesn't mean that she was the aggressor. She might have been trying to fend him off. And girls have nails. they leave marks, whereas a guy wouldn't. So
Yeah. I mean, I'm not suggesting any way, shape, or form that he wasn't aggressive. I just it 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 just strikes me as odd that he wasn't aggressive at that point, or there weren't some signs that he was aggressive at that point. Because
yeah,
clearly he got a lot more aggressive later.
I
I
still
mean,
don't know why we haven't heard from any of his friends. I still don't know why, at this point, someone who hung out with him in high school or used to drink with him at the corner bar, I don't know why none of those people have come forward. I want to hear what his friends say because he can't possibly still have friends who are loyal to him. He can't possibly. The most unpopular people in Northport, Florida are the Laundries. There can't be anyone going around, I think Brian's a good dude. That guy would get his ass kicked. You know what I mean? Like shooting pool on a Friday night. I don't know. I still like Brian. That ain't happening. So why aren't these people coming forward and telling us who this guy? We still really have no idea who this guy is, other than what we're led to believe based on these little incremental pieces of evidence that we've seen unfold over the last 2-3 weeks.
I don't think there's one bit of evidence necessary if you're sitting on the jury
Yeah, no, this looks
for
open and
you
shut.
for you to go, he's guilty. Like
Yeah.
like just his behavior alone is gonna be enough for a jury to convict him.
Jeff Glenn says he thinks the cops were going out of their way to cut him a break.
I agree.
But why?
I say both of them a break, not
But
just him.
well, I've never experienced that. You know, I'm a middle-aged white guy. I've never had cops so obviously go out of their way to cut me a break. I mean, I've been let out of tickets, but you
Well, I
know,
think it's because their stories, for the most part, matched up.
and they immediately went with she's having a mental episode. It's her. And he's the good boyfriend trying to make sure she's safe. That was essentially what the cops deduced. That she was, and now some of that was because she admitted it and she was hysterical. But now we have to start thinking she wasn't hysterical because she was having a mental breakdown. She was hysterical because she was being tormented by this guy. And she's been in a car with him for 3 months.
Yeah.
But we just, it's just easier to believe. A bunch of dude bros hanging out by the side of the road. Oh, she's crazy, man. Hey, you got a girlfriend? I got an ex-wife. I know what you're talking about. I mean, come on, man. That's a bad look for those cops. It's just a bad look. Given the fact that we now have a body, and it's pretty damn clear that if those cops had, again, my mom, Illinois State Police, I'm not anti-cop, okay? I'm not.
John Walsh is pissed. That's why he got
Yeah,
probably reprimanded a few times because his statements about the cops the last couple of days had just been, if not for them, she would still be alive.
I don't think that's fair. I mean,
I don't think it's fair either.
I think they did a shitty job at being cops, but there is no way. I mean, in retrospect, that's easy to say they should, but there's no way. There's no way in that moment to have known that. Look, they separated them. The one cop even said to the other cop, "Look, if they come back and they get back together, they decide to get back together. That's not our problem. We separate. We're doing what we're supposed to do. We're keeping them separate for 24 hours." And but here's the problem with that. Everybody there knew that they were going to get back together in 24 hours. Those cops knew. He wanted to go to jail for. Can I go for her? Oh, you're such a chivalrous dude, Brian Laundry.
Yeah, I'd like
Yeah.
him to go to jail now. See how
Me
long he lasts.
yeah. Okay, so the other thing is the camping trip with the parents. It's now being widely assumed that the camping trip was just all about setting him up. The reason that he left, as you mentioned earlier, he left his wallet, his cards, or whatever the hell he's got, and his cell phone and all that stuff at home was because he knew that that stuff was going to all be traceable. He knew that that stuff, the cops already knew that all that stuff was him, and that would be a way to find him. But who's to say when they went out on the camping trip with mom and dad that they didn't go out there with 10 burner phones? That he can now use a burner
Well,
phone whenever.
yeah, that and where are all these red light cameras
Yeah,
that
yeah,
don't know where he went camping with the mom and the dad? I mean, those cameras exist.
yeah.
I mean, and how come they haven't pulled the red truck up? And how come they haven't pulled the camper?
Well, the parents drove the red truck all the way to Orlando today with a
Right, but I'm saying
caravan
if
of
he
media
was
following
in
them.
the red camper, or if he was in the camper in the driveway,
Yeah.
and that camper was in the red truck, why haven't they confiscated the camper, and why haven't they confiscated the red truck?
I don't know. I don't know. There's
I
too
mean,
many
they went
questions.
through the house,
I
but they haven't went through the camper.
want to fast forward 10 years. I want to fast forward 20 years, and I just want to read the book. I want to find out everything that was going on because this story is absolutely driving me nuts. Do you realize last night I told you that I'd started watching the new American Crime Story. This season's episodes are about the impeachment of Bill Clinton, the Monica Lewinsky and Linda Tripp scandal, and all of that. And it's great. I mean, it's all A-list big namers. Playing the Edie Falco, man, come on, Nurse Jackie, Carmela Soprano, she's playing Hillary Clinton. It's really good. I'm now like 3 episodes in, and it's really good because I remember all that stuff, and it's fun to see the relationship between Clive Owen. Clive Owen is playing Bill Clinton. Clive Owen's a real actor. He's like a big movie star. He's playing Bill Clinton, and then you got Beanie Feldstein, aka Jonah Hill's sister, playing Monica Lewinsky. And we had only been able to speculate about what that courtship was like, but now we're seeing it. We're seeing how Bill Clinton hit on Monica Lewinsky. We're seeing her responses and what she said to him, and we know that it's true, at least from her end, because she's one of the exec producers of it. She said no, dialogue is this and that. But at any rate, so I'm watching that story, and something else clicked in my head, and I went, hey, whatever happened? And I fell into a wiki hole. And that wiki hole was the Chandra Levy wiki hole. Does that name sound familiar to you?
Yeah, why am I not remembering?
Chandra Levy was the Washington, D.C. intern who was dating California Congressman Gary Condit, and
Oh, yeah.
her body was found in the park. And for the longest time, everybody thought the congressman had did it and all that, until Condit was absolutely 100% cleared. He wasn't there. They have a I mean, he was actually, his alibi was that he was in the West Wing, or not the West Wing, but he was in the White House meeting with the Vice President of the United States when this supposedly happened. So he was cleared, but still to this day, 20 years later, when we hear the name Gary Condit, we go, I need a one that killed that. But here's my issue. We're 20 years later. They still don't have any idea what happened to Chandra Levy. They don't. They finally arrested some homeless dude like 10 years ago and charged him with the crime. And he was already in jail for attacking other women in that park around the same time. So they just went, well, we got him. And they put this homeless guy in jail. And then, like a year later, it was thrown out. They're like, yeah, he didn't do it. This evidence is not real. You guys were just looking to close this case. We are 20 years later, and there still isn't someone rotting in jail for the murder of that young woman. So who's to say we're ever going to find Brian Laundrie? Who's to say we're ever going to find out what this was all about? If Brian Laundrie kills himself in the Everglades and an alligator eats him, this is all for, we're just never going to get any kind of, and I'm not going to say satisfaction because that is the wrong word. We're not going to get any kind of closure. We're not going to get any kind of end to this macabre curiosity that we all have about this story. We've all been drawn into it, and it's really frustrating. And at some point, James and I were talking about this on the phone today. At some point, we're going to have to just move away from this topic because
I agree. It brings me down.
Yeah, we're gonna
like I get more and more angry every day that he's not found.
Yeah, and what else are we supposed to talk about today? 13 people getting shot while they're running out for groceries at the Kroger in Collierville, Tennessee. By the way, I took a drive. That's the thing that I do. We did it last night when we drove around Jackson Hole just to see what the neighborhood was like where the Mary Piglet is. Very nice, by the way. I did that today with Collierville, Tennessee, because I like to try and figure out, what kind of place was this? The other day at the school shooting, I did it there too, and I was like, oh, okay, this is not a nice pristine, suburban, supposedly safe from all the outside violence kind of school. I drove around Collierville today. I drove around the Kroger and all that. Dude, that's Highland Park. That's the Highland Park of Memphis. That is like mansions. It's like big, giant southern mansions and all kinds of. I mean, that is a ridiculously nice area. And you can't, I mean, some dude just walked in and started shooting people because he got fired from the sushi bar.
Wow.
I mean, it's a Kroger with a sushi bar in a nice area. That makes sense. You don't get those in the
Let's talk
city.
about some radio news today in Dallas. The Eagle announced that they have the Mavs.
Yeah, I saw that. That's very interesting. That's a rock station, which is now going to obviously. I mean, what are we talking about? How many basketball games a year are there?
I
80.
think there's 82.
Okay, so 82 nights. You're not going to have whatever the rock is that they usually do. I mean, that's
But
gonna.
Cuban was very. I listened to it today.
Oh, did Cuban make the announcement?
Cuban made the announcement on the Ben and Skin show,
Yeah, I didn't
and
hear it.
he was saying that the reason that he chose the Eagle was because they weren't a sports station, pretty much, and that he thought that the Mavs would have an ability to cross over to an audience that they weren't getting to.
Where were the Mavs previously? What radio station had them?
I believe it was 103.3 ESPN.
Okay, so ESPN is obviously an ESPN property, but in this market, it's managed and run by Cumulus. So Cumulus, I'm trying to think of what the reason would be. iHeart owns the Eagle. iHeart has a lot of big stations in this market, but so does Cumulus. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the advantage would
So,
be.
but according to Cuban, when he first took the Mavs over as an owner, and he said this, he was doing shots with Russ Martin, and he did this as kind of a tribute to Russ, and because he thought that the Eagle was
Wait,
not your typical sports
wait a
station.
second. So you're telling me that you believe that Mark Cuban moved his team as a tribute to Russ Martin. That's
He
the
said
metric.
that. I
Okay,
didn't
of
say
course
it.
he said that. Of
He
course.
said that. I
He
didn't
probably
say
said
it.
a lot of things. And you know what? I know that they were I was listening before I went shopping. It was like 3:45 and they were teasing some big announcement and you know what they said? They were acting like they had no idea what it was. It's radio, man. He was performing. No, there's no way in hell that he moved the team in a tribute to Russ Martin. Sounds nice on the station where the guy who he's talking about has just passed
Well, he
away.
said the first. He
That ain't
said
why. That's
the first
ridiculous.
radio interview that he did as the Mavs owner. He
Nice
did
memory.
it with Russ, and they were doing shots.
First interview I ever did in this town was with Mark Cuban, and that very night he gave me his courtside seats to the Mavs game, and me and Craig Gass went to the Mavs game and sat in Cuban seats. So maybe when I own something, I wouldn't know where to go with that. I was gonna just,
Yeah.
by the
Anyway,
way,
I just thought it was
hold on, no,
interesting that the
wait. I
Eagle
can't, I
landed
can't
him.
tell that story without telling the punchline to it. The
Okay.
absolute coolest thing that I've ever seen anybody do. It was Craig Gass, it was me, and we were on the floor. I mean, to the point where at one point the ball came to us and I had the ball between my legs and I was like kicking it back and forth. And Tiffany, who was his wife now, I guess, is that her name? At least that was the name of the girl that he was with then. Okay. So she was sitting next to us and she was talking to us and it was all very nice. And she goes, "Oh, you're gonna love it here," because this was like our first week in town, and this was like the first big interview that we had. The game ended, the Mavericks lost. Mark Cuban walked up to us sitting there on the sideline. Well, he didn't walk up to us. He's got a glad hand with all the people. He's got to make sure that all the people feel special.
Right.
But we were two of the people that he made certain. He's like, "Guys, did you have a good time?" And we're like, "Yeah, man, thank you so much." And he goes, waved to Tiffany, said something to her, turned and started walking away. And she goes, "Mark, hold on. I gotta." And she got that far and he turned. Most baller thing I ever saw. He turned and he said, "Call you from the plane, babe." and just kept walking. I was like, ooh, me and Craig Gass were like, ooh, that is so baller. That is
Call
great.
you from the plane, babe.
Because I guess they had a game the next night somewhere and they had to get straight to the airport or whatever it was. But man, imagine being able to say that. Imagine to be able to shut down your girlfriend or fiance or whatever she was at the time with, hold that thought. I'll call you from the plane, babe. God, that's cool. So he was on. Was he? So he's on, and you believe that he moved the team to the Eagle in tribute to Russ Martin.
I
No financial
don't
metrics in
believe that
play.
he moved it because Russ had passed away, but, he did mention that he thought it was cool that they were going to the Eagle because the Eagle was not your typical sports station,
Yeah, no, it's not.
and
The
he
Eagle
thought
is.
it was a good place for the Mavs to expose their product to a different audience, and he complimented Ben and Skin that they had changed the format over there at the Eagle and that they had run away from sports, and he liked the fact that their show was just not strictly sports and that he wanted to be on a station that, wasn't the traditional sports station.
Yeah, that is an odd move for a rock station in a market. Although, look, everything that happens in radio now is an odd move because radio is in unprecedented times. This is rare air for the radio industry. They're doing. There's going to be a lot of things that happen in what I like to call the final 10 years of the business, because I believe terrestrial radio has 10 more years of profitability before the desired demo, or not the desired, the only remaining demo of people who listen to the radio start to die off in numbers that just you can't.
But that station is truly its own version of a hybrid right now because it's rock,
Hmm.
talk,
Yeah.
and sports.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of a station that I know of.
Really, you can't think of the Talk That Rocks Texas that had we had hockey, we we had auto racing, we still classified as a rock. Come on, the old Live 105.3 is where that whole concept began. The Talk That Rocks. It was a rock station that had a lot of
I don't
talk guys.
recall the hockey part though.
Yeah, we had the Stars. Absolutely, it's the only way that I.
Early?
No, not early. Probably 2008, 2009, somewhere. No, you're right. Probably like 2004, 2005. Maybe it was earlier.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't.
Oh yeah, man. We had a program director come in there and they signed an exclusive deal with auto racing. So we had Texas Motor Speedway as a major component of that station. That's neither rock nor talk. That's sports,
Well,
especially in
Texas Motor Speedway, I do
we had the
remember that.
Stars.
That was kinda like the fifth pro team.
Yeah. In Texas, it certainly is,
Right.
especially come racing season. So that is interesting about the Eagle. I would think, I don't know. Like I said, I try to play radio consultant. Lucky enough to spend a little bit of time around consultants like Lee Abrams and Dave Logan and getting advice from those dudes and hearing from those guys who are certainly legends in the game. And I can't put on my best consultant hat and figure out what that move says. It's interesting, and I hope it works for him. But
Yeah. I think
I
it's
don't know. I
interesting
have
as
no
well.
speculation as to what that could mean. Other than if I was just a regular music jock on that station, I wouldn't be too comfortable with it. I would not. Look, people who work in radio hear footsteps the day after they sign their contract. You are on an egg timer in this business. You've always been on an egg timer in the business of radio. Now, so even more. So, I
Well,
mean,
but I think with iHeart, there's so many different formats on so many different stations that you just gotta feel hopefully like it's one big family and they're gonna find you, you know?
yeah, yeah, they certainly do have a lot of. That's probably another metric that was settled on, as opposed to just because Russ was the first interview he did, was that iHeart's a baller in the marketplace. iHeart is the big dog in the marketplace. They've got all the stations. You want to promote something Mavericks oriented. You don't just have to stick with the Eagle. You could go over to Kiss. Kiss is still a monster. You can go over to Bo and Jim. Bo and Jim have a big audience.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying. I think it was more they landed on the Eagle, but they landed on iHeart. You know, the
Yeah.
Eagles just one
Yeah.
planet in the iHeart universe.
Yeah, but it's probably the one that I would have landed on too. I mean, of the iHeart stations that I know of, that
Well,
the Eagles seems the
because of skin.
yeah, well that of course, but it also seems to be the most relevant of the stations. I mean, I guess you could say Kiss is, but Kiss is relevant to 14-year-olds. That doesn't matter. You want to be the most relevant to a 40-year-old man. And I would say that that's probably where the Eagle falls. You've got the other classic rock station, but again, that's a higher demo. That's at this point, classic rock is appealing to almost 60 plus. And advertisers don't really love 60 plus. The sweet spot nowadays is between 40 and 60. That's where those are the people that you want to reach. And that would be the Eagle. Although honestly, the music on the Eagle, I'm not all that familiar with. So they may even be trying musically to skew younger, which would, but I know that they're not trying. I know they're not doing an alt format where they're going after 25-year-olds or grad school kids, right? It's a rock format. Guns N'
Mhm.
Roses,
Yeah. Or grunge.
Shinedown. Trying to think
Mhm.
of modern rock bands.
Nirvana.
Guns N' Roses, yeah, see, not modern. Modern Nirvana is not modern. Guns
Wow.
N' Roses is not modern. I couldn't come up with anything. All right, guys, we're gonna pull the plug a half hour early here today. I seriously, just give me a break. I'll be on tomorrow. I think it's gonna be me and Parker for the high noon edition. Sunglasses, you okay with that? We're gonna probably pull it about 30 minutes early.
I just
Sometimes we
gotta.
go late. It'll all even out in the wash, folks. I promise you. Oh, and by the way, I had, excuse me, we're going to have a guest on Sunday night. A guest that, let's see, is there anybody in the chat room who's going to love this guest? Let me see. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm going to have a special guest who's going to hang out with us on Sunday night. You're going out to watch your horse run at Churchill Downs, right?
Churchill, yeah. We'll
Will
be
you be
there.
back on Sunday?
I'll be back Sunday about 1:30.
All right, very good. Oh, right in the middle of Sunday
Football.
football. Yeah, me and my kid. We're gonna watch in big house, okay, on the big TV. Since you guys
Of
aren't gonna be
course.
there, you're not gonna have the Buffalo game on.
Yeah.
He's very excited, and I don't want to make him watch Justin Fields' first start as a Bear on the laptop, which is how we watch it over here in the servants' quarters. So we're gonna be over there in the big house. We'll take care of the dog. We'll do all that
Good
stuff.
luck with that. My God, she is wound up right now.
Oh, you got her over there? Good. She'll be over here.
No, I don't have her. I hope you got her over there. You don't have her either?
No, but I promise you she's probably sitting on the
She's
chair
probably sitting on the porch.
because
Yeah.
it's so
I think
nice
in this
or
weather,
cold. Yeah.
in this weather, she likes it. And so the sun doesn't take as much out of her. Her energy level right now is just ridiculous. I took her
Um,
for a half walk today, and she knew it was a half walk, and she's been wanting me to take her on another one.
have you
So,
ever thought, we complain about this dog a lot, but I mean, you rescued her from somebody who they live in an apartment, or did she have a yard? Did she have, how was,
yes, well, it wasn't an apartment, but it was a house, small house.
yeah.
Yeah,
This dog, I mean, this dog reaches peak speed in this backyard. She just runs balls out along the fence line and she just seems so happy.
yeah.
And then she makes a hard turn, comes across between the fence and where the pool meet, and then at full speed hits the steps and just glides up the steps into her chair. It is like, this dog is happy. You
I
should feel good about that. This dog loves her life.
So today when I got home after football practice, you know how I had those muffins in the container?
Oh, no. She get him?
She got the muffins off of the counter,
Of course she
and they were way in the back, but she did not get through the plastic container, and so the muffin was in her room where she takes it over there by the bed, and
Yeah.
she must have somehow got sidetracked, and she never finished it off, and so all that had happened was the muffin in the container moved over to her bed, And then I was looking, I was like, what the hell is that on her bed? And I was like, that's the blueberry muffin that she somehow got off of the counter. Like every time I'm out of town and you send a text, I'm like, oh God. And it says image. I'm
What'd
like,
she
okay,
do?
I'm going to see something that she's destroyed or something that she's taken off the counter somehow. And I mean, I had a Great Dane before, and she had me trained to push everything back off of the counters because she could get up,
Right.
literally. She
She would
was
be
like,
6 foot tall if she
yeah,
was on her
twice,
hind leg.
you saw her,
Yeah.
and she was like twice her height. Somehow this dog, half her height,
She
gets
jumps.
further deep on the counter. I think she literally jumps up on the
Yeah.
counter.
Oh, haven't you seen her jump at the tree when she thinks there's a squirrel there?
Oh yeah,
She gets air. She's got a vertical. And you remember a couple months ago when we thought she had bad hips and bad legs and wasn't
yeah,
gonna
no,
be
I
able.
took her to the vet, and the vet was like, "Yeah, she's got a bad knee, and we're gonna have to probably, have her have some type of surgery. But here are some anti-inflammatories. Give her these for a couple weeks." And I thought, my God, what's the likelihood that these anti-inflammatories are gonna work? And I gave her the anti-inflammatories, and now it's like she can literally jump from the floor to the bar
Yeah.
and get on top. I don't know,
She
crazy,
her
crazy.
breed is known to be able to climb trees in the swamps, and I have seen her sort of have that instinct going after these squirrels on that giant tree, and she puts her front paws up on the bark, so she's like this, and then she hops, and she jumps, and she literally leaves the ground like she's trying to grab onto the trees. Like there is some instinct in her head going, "You can do this. You can do this." And
Yeah,
she's trying,
I
which
don't
is
know.
another reason why I had to move her chair that's out on my back deck because she figured out how to push the chair all the way over to the edge of the railing and then get right up on the railing. No fear, no fear at all in that dog.
I remember the first week we had her, she was so lovable, so cuddly. She would just get on the couch, do nothing, didn't bark once
Scared
for the
shitless. She
whole
didn't think
week
she
she
could
was
bark.
here. Didn't bark. Like, I was like, does this dog ever bark? Now it's like when she's barking, you feel like you're at the dog pound. She like has a bark with another dog, with her dog and dog and dog.
Yeah,
Like I felt like the other day somehow a dog had gotten into the house
yeah.
and we were having a dog fight, and it was just her barking against herself.
I could talk about your dog all night. I love
Anyway,
that
all
dog.
right.
That dog is a good dog. A Louisiana Blue Merle Catahoula Leopard dog. Never heard of the breed before, but oh my God, do I love this
A
breed now.
lady stopped me when I was walking her. She goes, "Is that a Catahoula leopard dog?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "I have one." She goes, "I'll just let you know, they're crazy."
Yes, they are.
I
It's
was like, "Do you have my
crazy
dog?"
crazy fun,
Yeah,
super loyal. I
yeah,
mean, that dog loves all of us.
yeah.
That dog has no fear of I mean, doesn't like anybody else, but as
No,
far as like you, me, your son, my son,
yeah.
Ed,
Anybody who's on the compound is safe.
yeah, anybody
Anybody
who's in
who
the
comes
club,
from outside into the compound, I
yeah.
fear for you.
Yeah, because she's a tough little bitch. All right. Thank you, folks. That's gonna be it. Like I said, we'll be back again tomorrow at noon. I'm gonna try and get a really good night's sleep. And
You gonna tease the guest on Sunday?
nah,
Nah.
nah. Oh, it's
Okay.
somebody from my past who I would have never had the nerve to ask to come on, and they because they're transitioning, they told me today. They called me just before I went on, and we're like, hey, I want to. You need to invite me on, and I'm like, what? I go, yeah, anytime you want to come on, man, I would be honored. So that's I was thinking maybe tonight, but it was too soon. And this particular person, Tom Beller's got it. Tom Beller, nice job. Tom's one of my oldest and closest friends in the world, so he knows when I start to frame it. So yes, my mentor, Radio Hall of Fame bound genius of the business, Kevin Matthews is going to come and sit in with us on Sunday if we can make that work.
Awesome.
He's like, you gotta invite me on your show. I'm like, anytime you want to come on, man. So it's many of you here in Dallas are probably not familiar unless you've listened to my show and heard me talk about him all these years. But certainly for my Chicago friends, they'll get a kick out of it.
And that's where you got your nickname.
That is, yes, because his alter ego. Yes, Tom. If I have any say about it, Jim is coming with him. In fact, Kevin can stay home. I just want Jim. I just want to argue with Jim. Okay, so Jim is Kevin Matthews' partner, who may or may not also be Kevin Matthews, but we'll see. We'll figure that out.
So we're gonna have, and we can get up to how many screens on this? 10?
We could have 10 people on this show at a time.
So the Brady Bunch group plus 4.
There you go. That's what we could do. All right. Thanks, folks. We'll see you tomorrow at noon. Apologize for the short show, but I am like really struggling. It has been a hell of a week. We'll be on tomorrow at noon. Sunglasses will not be with us. He's going to be off watching his horse run. Parker is supposed to be with us. And if Parker can't do it, then I'll just do it by myself. We'll do a show like from where I just ramble and ramble and ramble if my voice holds out. But it will. I mean, I can promise you there'll be a show tomorrow. All right. Thanks, folks. This has been Pillow Talk. I'm Pugs. That's Sunglasses. Tomorrow, high noon, at noon. Wow. Funny how that works out. This has been the Radio Misfits Network. Bye, everybody.